We have a major Maple Leafs free agency update as multiple reports have indicated a new Toronto Maple Leafs target that the Leafs are looking to acquire this offseason. Sort of break down that report and discuss exactly who that player is because it might surprise you. We're also going to discuss what the contract may look like for the players. We're going to break all that down. Before we do, if you're a part of the 80% who are not subscribed, make sure to hit that button. We're on the road to 11,000 subscribers. You guys have been absolutely crushing it. We're very close to hitting that button or hitting that goal, sorry. So make sure to hit that button if you enjoy the daily content. But without further ado, let's get into it. Darius made a video yesterday making a lot of different trade target videos. You know, Mitch Marner's a lot of buzz about him going to Vegas. Even more buzz came out about that after our video yesterday. So definitely check that out if you're interested in the latest news there. But a new report dropped about Dakota Joshua of the Vancouver Canucks and the Leafs having mutual interest there. And let's just dive right into what we're seeing. So you can see here, Donnie and Dally in our opening segment. They shared a new possible landing spot for Dakota Joshua if he doesn't re-sign with the Canucks, and a potential bottom six name to keep an eye on July 1st. And Dakota Joshua is very interesting. Before we get into that, let's get into the exact report. It was, I will not be surprised if the Maple Leafs are a team that takes a long look at Zadorov, who we'll cover in a future video, and Dakota Joshua if they make it to July 1st. Joshua is a player that teams are looking at right now and saying, we need that kind of guy in the playoffs. I can't tell you enough that if Joshua hits July 1st, he's going to have very good interest, specifically from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you're looking at this and you're reading it, a lot of teams saying we need that kind of guy in the playoffs. That screams Brad Treliving acquisition to me, and this makes all the sense in the world. And you can see this here. He hasn't played a game since May 20th, but he still leads all skaters in playoff hits, even though they got eliminated pretty early, and it's been almost a month. So Darius, Dakota Joshua, I love it. I love the thought of it. He would make tons of sense. Depending if they bring back, we can discuss the Max Domi, Bertuzzi, things like that. But Dakota Joshua, we spoke about him maybe a month or so ago. Makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, we mentioned him before, and people have been asking us what we thought of him too. And like, he's been a topic of conversation, right? We just don't know. There's not too many reports about what he's going to make. So I'm very interested in that, right? There's not too much about that specifically, but there is a lot of interest across the league with different teams. And one of the teams he mentioned there too is the Chicago Blackhawks, where he's going to get a big role and probably a lot of money, because obviously they're not going to make a big splash and they have a lot of money to spend. So I wonder if he considers that, or if he wants to go to a contender, because this guy screams playoff player to me. All right. Like the stat you just showed, he is still leading the league in hits, and he hasn't played in a long time. He had a great playoffs. He chipped in for a lot of very big and timely goals for the Vancouver Canucks, right? Where their top guys weren't showing up. And, let me know if you've heard that before, Nick, right? With the Toronto Maple Leafs. So this guy screams playoff player. I can see Brad Treliving having a lot of interest in him. A lot of teams are going to have a lot of interest in him because he had a bit of a coming out party this playoffs, right? So very good player. I think the Leafs should have interest. We don't know what the dollar amount or how many years he wants, right? It's a very interesting situation in that way, but I think the Leafs should at least take a look at him because they need help in the forward department too. Everyone loves to talk about what are they going to do with the goaltending. The defense is always a topic of conversation, but they have a hard time scoring in the playoffs. And this guy, like I said, scored very big and timely goals for the Canucks, and obviously is a very physical player.
Yeah, and a lot of Canucks fans want Joshua back, so this is obviously not great news for them. And you look at his stats, respectable, 32 points, 63 games, but it's a guy kind of like Tyler Bertuzzi, where at least last year, you're not going to put tons of points in the regular season. He can have seasons where he does, but then he just shines in the playoffs. And again, there's multiple reports coming out, Leafs among the several teams interested in acquiring pending UFA Dakota Joshua. And he's coming off of a contract where quite a bargain for the Vancouver Canucks. So he's going to be looking to cash out this offseason. And you can see Joshua spent time playing on both the second power play and the penalty kill unit, while being slotted as a top six forward. Now that he holds all the cards regarding his fate, he'll be in pursuit of maximizing his value. And Darius, we do have a projected contract here. They are predicting, according to AFP Analytics, a 4-year, $13 million contract, which is about a $3.3 million AAV. So we do have some sort of number. This is not a report. This is just a projection from a website that usually does this, but they're usually pretty accurate with their stuff within, a year and a few million. 4 years, $13 million. Not terrible. I'd probably do that if I was the Toronto Maple Leafs. But again, you have to be careful with the rest of your assets with, the Domi, the Tyler Bertuzzi, all this stuff.
Yeah, it depends what you're going to do with Bertuzzi and Domi. I do think Domi comes back, but that's not bad. That would probably take him, Joshua, that is, to 32 years old, right? The salary cap is going up. $3 million is not terrible for the input he has, especially if he makes that impact in the playoffs. So that's not terrible. I think if you can get him for about $3 million, that's not bad. Certainly something you look at. And he just strikes me as the type that, yes, he could probably get maybe a little bit more money or term in Chicago, and that's great for him personally. But do you want to go to Chicago, just play out the year? You're not going to make the playoffs. playoffs. This guy, he strikes me as a guy who would want to play on a competitive team, and the Leafs are that. A lot of people laugh at that fact, but they are. They make the playoffs consistently, and he could make an impact for them. So it's an interesting fit. I wonder if they look at that. It's, 3 million is not bad. I know, his input isn't the best, like we just showed, right? He's not going to give you like even half a point a game, but that's also not what he's there for, right? He could help on the penalty kill, like you mentioned, which is another area of interest for the Leafs. So very interesting fit, and I do definitely think they take a look at it. And one thing nobody's talking about too, or not too many people are talking about, big frame. This is a big player too, and the Leafs need to get a little bit bigger, but not bigger for the sake of getting bigger, bigger with skill and purpose, right? And I think this guy brings that.
Yeah, 6'3", 28 years old. You'd be getting him for his prime if he hits this supposed projection by the analytics website here. And again, they'll have plenty of big decisions to make in their end. They're looking to add on all facets, whether it be a big name defenseman like we've discussed, the goaltending. Like, they have so many things they need to do. And according to their, Puckpedia's cap hit of around 20 million, add Joshua to that list that they can be expected to pursue. Like, there's just so many guys. Even Brett Pesce we've been speaking about. Like, there's a lot of different players, defensemen, goaltenders, everyone that the Leafs are looking and being linked to acquiring. I ask you now, Darius, given all of these players, Jake DeBrusk is another one. Has this changed your, and I asked you guys in the comments, if you're watching this right now, let me know. Has it changed your opinion on the Domi and Bertuzzi situation, specifically Bertuzzi, because I think Domi's a given to return? With all these players and these different names like Dakota Joshua, I almost wouldn't be opposed to them giving a guy like Joshua the roster spot and the cap hit over Tyler Bertuzzi, just because, not necessarily just for the sake of change, but I think they might fit the team better. But a lot of this depends on the Marner trade, which we keep bringing up because it's ultimately true.
So personally, I think the Leafs in free agency should kind of splurge on defense, right? Go rejig your defense and make it exactly what you want it to be. Maybe not exactly what you want it to be, but make it better, right? And then on the forward group, I think you should re-sign Max Domi. And again, Tyler Bertuzzi, the contract situation is weird, right? And I think they're very skeptical about the length of the contract. And if he wants too much, another team is going to give it to him. So maybe you let him walk. You bring in Dakota Joshua, right? He's not going to give you exactly what Tyler Bertuzzi brings, but it's a little bit, obviously he's going to make less years, a little bit younger as well. He's not going to bring, like I said, exactly what Bertuzzi brings to the table, but it's more cost effective, where then you can use those dollars somewhere else you need it, like defense, where I think you should upgrade majorly, because we've seen it in the playoffs time and time again, and even regular season defense. You need defense, right? And the Leafs don't have too much of that solidified. So that's what I would do if I was the Leafs GM, but I'm not.
Yeah, and I feel like it's getting harder and harder to justify re-signing Bertuzzi on a 6x6 if that's what he's going to be looking to get. And it seems like his price keeps getting driven up. Whereas you see Dakota Joshua, like a 4-year, $13 million. Yeah, Bertuzzi in theory would be better production-wise. But even last year, Bertuzzi had a bit of a down year when you look at the regular season points. So it's like, I wouldn't mind bringing in a guy who is going to perform well in the playoffs, be 6'3", be a huge frame, and would really address some key needs, especially on the penalty kill and power play for the Leafs. So it makes all the sense in the world to me, but let us know in the comment section down below if you want to see Dakota Joshua in a Leafs jersey. And also make sure to hit the subscribe button. We'll see you guys tomorrow.